ongoing series of workforce and economic development speakers. And our speaker today is Jeremy Marks, who is the Director of Counseling at the Camden Hills Regional High School. Born in Brooklyn, New York, schooled New York, New Hampshire, Connecticut, full scholarship to Northeastern, rowing of all sports, but quite a good football player, played semi-pro football with accolades on Long Island. He also has coached football for over 20 years. He has taught and been a part of both the public and private school sector, as well as teaching in Barcelona, Spain, Lincoln Academy here, and of course, for the last number of years at Camden Hills. As I was reading up about Jeremy, one of the things that really struck me was that Jeremy was 2 blocks away from the towers when 9/11 happened. And he talks about how significant that was in inspiring him to help other people and move forward. He lost friends as they were running away from the collapsed North Tower, and quite a moving thing. Not today's presentation, but I think it leads to Jeremy, who, if you read about him, I know him, I've worked with him. My son went to Camden Hills and he got my son through Camden Hills with only minor blemishes. Jeremy's a man of compassion, he's inspiration, and above all, his motivation is to help people. So without further, Jeremy Marks.
Matt, thank you. Thank you so much for the introduction. It's a little bit of a trip down, this is your life, but I appreciate it. The fabric of what we do and the experiences we have make us who we are, right? So that kind of dovetails into the internship program here at Camden Hills. And I'm going to screen share right away because we understand that school is no longer about, what we can offer just in our building. It's more so what we can offer beyond the building. And in particular, the fact that experiences are so important to students and their learning these days. In preparing for this presentation, I came upon an article that I thought was really, really helpful from US News and World Report. And I think it hit all the tenets of why we started internships here at Camden Hills. And I'll give you a little retrospective, but I want to kind of onboard you folks to why we think it's important. This first quote of working and interacting with various employees and being exposed to the basic values of the career industry and the industry would entail get students out of their high school bubble. That's so huge. We want students to understand that so much of their learning experience in high school should occur outside of our walls. While we understand that, chemistry and the War of 1812 and physics are super important and may inform students' choices as they leave us, we also understand that in the 21st century, getting them into jobs, getting them exposed is in some ways maybe even more important than the content that we deliver. Through the internship experience, high schoolers gain confidence to succeed in their path. This is exactly why we want students to have this experience. And I've got Bailey Curtis here, who's going to speak a little bit about her experience. And she's actually got 2 internships lined up. She's in one presently, is about to start another. But she'll speak a little bit about, her experiences and how they've informed her in terms of how she'll move forward with her aspirations. And then the last point, I think, speaks to a lot of what we have on our mind these days, which is diversity, equity, and inclusion, and ensuring that students understand that all aspirations matter to us and that all student situations are not the same. We have a variance of students that now attend Camden Hills Regional High School. We accept students from over 10 different sending schools. And with that brings a variety of student experience and background. So if we can get students into positions where maybe they have a paid internship or even a job while they're in school, we really think that's an important experience for them and a valuable piece of their education in high school. So a little bit of retrospective on where we've come and how this journey has manifested itself. Back in I think the spring of 2017 or 2018, I should say, 17-18 school year, Maria Libby reached out to me and asked if I could meet with some folks about an internship experience. And Matt Brown was one of those individuals. It was very clear to me at that point that this was something that the community was looking forward to and would embrace wholeheartedly. We had a great kickoff meeting and allowed us to establish a structure that in school year 2018-19, we were off and running. That year, we were able to secure somewhere in the neighborhood of about 27 different partnerships with local organizations, and we're able to place 14 students into those experiences. As you all know, in 2019, 2020, the world took a left about face and things changed dramatically. We were so excited going into that school year, knowing that we would have a robust turnout for our internship program, building off the success of the prior year. And COVID, as we all know, put the kibosh on that. So we've been on pause for the last couple of years. And with this start of this school year, we're super excited to let you guys know that we're back up and running with our internship program. So much so that now we have 42 different organizations that we're working with. And as a matter of fact, Carol Pelletier, who's part of our team here, just let me know that today we secured another internship with Penn Bay Medical, in particular their radiology department. So we're excited to add people. And I'm sure that there's some folks in the audience that may be excited to be a part of this program. And I encourage you just to simply reach out to me, and I'd love to be able to schedule a time to meet and chat and see how your organization can join up with us. This year, we have 17 interns placed, and we also have a little bit of a different program in through the hatchery, and I'm going to let Danny Solomon speak about that in a minute, but I wanted to have you guys hear from Bailey in terms of her experience. So I've got some questions I'm going to ask her. We'll do a little format of an interview here so you guys can get a taste of what she's all about. So, hi, Bailey.
Hi.
So Bailey Curtis, if you don't know, she is actually the daughter of Jen Curtis, who is our assistant principal, is going to be our interim principal next year. And Jen's very tapped in. We call her the mayor around here. But Bailey doesn't fall too far from the tree. She's never met a conversation she wasn't willing to enter or a laugh to have. So it's great to have her represent the high school. So Bailey, could you tell us where you're working and maybe some of the things that you do on your internship?
Yeah, so this semester, I did an internship with Allen Agency. And pretty much I was looking for something that was going to give me a taste of everything. I went into that internship not knowing anything about what I wanted to do. I was like, I think I might like business, but everybody thinks that they might like business, so I don't really know. And so I asked them to give me a little bit of everything that they possibly could. And so every day I would go into the office and I would be set up with a new person in the building, and I would learn about what they did every day, the sort of responsibilities that they had. I learned about the structure of the business. And Allen Agency has so many different parts to it that it was kind of like just being thrown into the deep end of the pool. And so I feel like I learned a lot about myself through that experience. I definitely got to find out the things that I really like, and also the things that I was like, I definitely can't do this for a job, which I think is just as valuable as finding out the things that I loved. So
great, Bailey. So can you talk to me a little bit about, has this changed what you're thinking about doing after high school, or has it made it more like, yeah, this is what I want to do?
I think it a little bit of both. So doing that, I found out, yeah, okay, I can definitely do business. But I also found out that I cannot do a desk job. I cannot be stuck behind a desk all day, talking to people only on my phone. I need to be like face to face speaking to people and going outside and walking around. So it was a little bit of both.
And so what are you thinking about doing after high school? Are you thinking about college or workforce?
Yes, I am thinking college after high school. I have no idea what college. I'm currently like a college tour serial tour.
Okay.
I've been to like 11 colleges in the past year, and I've so far it's just kind of been like I don't know.
That's awesome. So, would you, having gone through this experience so far, would you recommend it to other students and why?
Yes, absolutely. I would fully recommend it to anybody who's even slightly thinking about it, or people who aren't thinking about it. I thought it was incredible for me because the thought of going into college and having to like pick a major as soon as I'm going into college without having any experience actually doing the job is a terrifying thought. Because my worst fear is spending all that money on college and getting out of it and realizing I don't like this career. This is a bad career for me. Why did I choose to do this? So I think it's given me a chance to look at careers that I'm interested in without having the pressure of them being a perfect fit first try.
And that's such a great answer because it fits exactly what our thoughts were about the internship program. One, exposing kids to an experience that we couldn't fabricate here in the high school, no matter how hard we tried. And two, to give them that validating experience. I mean, we've had students, and unfortunately, COVID's taken a little bite out of some other students that we wanted here, and the end of year rush has kind of impacted us as well. But having that validation or confirmation, or maybe the opposite. We had a student that was placed over at the middle school. God love her. She went into it eyes wide open. I don't know why. As an educator, I look at middle school as like, I could never do that. There are too many challenges there. And while she went into it wide open and was really excited for it, she came out of it realizing maybe middle school isn't my age range, and maybe I should take a look at some other age ranges while I'm still involved and want to be involved in education. Maybe it's early ed or even high school. So while that internship experience maybe was a mixed bag, it was definitely positive in the sense that that student was informed and now had a perspective to, move forward with. And it sounds like Bailey has gained that as well. So, that's really the hope of our internship program, is that students have that opportunity to be exposed, to either confirm or validate. The nice thing also is that we offer students the ability to gain credits through, and Bailey, you're good to go. So she's off to play smash ball. Sorry, she already gave us enough time as it was, but we are able to give students credits for these experiences. So it functions as an applied academic credit for us. So not only do students get that job experience, they get credits towards graduation, which kind of speaks to that learn and earn piece. We wanted them to understand that their experience is not just about what they're going to learn, but they're actually earning something. And we do have some paid internships. Fisher Plow is one in particular, just because of the insurance piece. And if we have students on the floor there, they need to be employees to be covered by their insurance. So there are some times where that we do have paid internships. Those are awesome. They're obviously more attractive sometimes to students than non-paid ones. The rub is there's some state law that kind of really, we got to do one or the other. We got to offer credits or allow the student to be paid. I don't think there's some language where we can't do both at the same time, pay for play kind of deal. So, but what we also were able to do was to integrate the internship program into the Hatchery. And the Hatchery is a new program and space that we've developed here in the building. It's an innovation center that also melds the coursework, community events, and promotion of innovative mindsets that we want our students to have. The Hatchery it embodies a different structure for learning and creating time, space, and resources for students to pursue questions and find solutions. So rather than me talk about what Danny Solomon is doing down in the Hatchery, if he's still on this feed, I'd love for Danny to speak a little bit about what he's doing down in the Hatchery. Danny, are you still with us?
I am here. I'm actually here. Can you hear me?
Yes, sure can.
All right. I'm here with 4 of my Hatchery apprenticeship students. So I'll give a brief intro, and we have some slides to share. Am I able to queue up some slides?
I think you are, Danny. I think you're a co-host.
All right.
There you go.
Whoops, not that. Okay. Yeah, so the Hatchery is a fairly new program at the high school, but through this program, we offer an internship program, the Hatchery Apprenticeship. This is new this year. And so I'm going to have a few students here with me tell you about their experience from their perspective. But before we get into it, this program is sort of a socially and environmentally responsible program around design work and building. There's definitely been a community focus to the work that we've been doing. And the theme that I brought this year to the program is radical reuse. So a lot of schools are investing these days, secondary education, also colleges in maker spaces. And I've worked at some of these programs elsewhere, and they tend to be extremely wasteful, even though they're very innovative and a lot of interesting work is produced. Also, a lot of waste is produced. So part of the reason for bringing this theme to the culture here is to kind of show that these programs can be innovative in the fact that they don't need to produce waste. In fact, they can divert materials from the region's waste stream. So that's been a focus of the class. And we started here with a ubiquitous waste stream, which is retired wood pallets. And so I'm going to hand things off to one of my students here, Gavin, who is part of a program, part of an event that we did at the beginning of the year, Pallet Palooza. So Gavin, why don't you take it away?
Hello, my name is Gavin, and I found out about this program through an email that Mr. Solomon sent. And it was the first community event that he had started. The goal was to get students to come see and learn about the hatchery and whether they wanted to be a part of it or not. And was also to gather materials. Like he said, the theme is radical reuse, and all of this lumber from the wood or from the pallets that we deconstructed has been fueling our projects throughout the year and still do today.
So pallets were a great, oh, hi, I'm Ian. And pallets were a great source of materials for the learning how to use tools, but we also wanted some more refined materials. And we found that through Viking Lumber, who had D-grade lumber, that normally this amount of lumber would cost thousands of dollars, but instead we got it for free. And normally contractors wouldn't want this because of slight imperfections, but we used it to learn about simple design in building and using tools to create furniture and things of the like that are super easy to make. We learned about designing and just writing things out roughly on paper and then making a cut list and building it. Another thing we learned about was 3D design and modeling through a program called SketchUp. And in the program, we learned how to design our projects that we were thinking about creating. And then we used the things that we've learned and the things that we've built through learning to make the learning circle.
From there, so one of the groups. I'm Charlotte. So one of the groups in our apprenticeship program decided to kind of partner up with the elementary school, which is, as you can see, very close in proximity. And we decided we had a bunch of cutoffs from our original projects that we made. And some of the students who joined in the spring semester needed to learn these basic fundamental skills that we all learned. So we decided to use our cutoffs and our waste from those projects to make little mini versions of for the elementary school students. So we built those and brought them over to the elementary school where the students get to use those outside. And, we got to teach them how to build them and how to oil them and all the different fun interactive ways. And yeah, just kind of partnering up and helping them out and having fun.
So once we used up a lot of I'm Emmett. And once we used up a lot of the D-grade lumber and a lot of the pallet wood, we started looking at other waste streams in the school and in the community and analyzed those and thought about how we could use them. And so we took some of the stringers from the pallets and made frames for chairs out of them. And on the chairs, we used skis from our annual ski sale at the school. And skis that don't get sold usually go to waste because ski shops see them as unusable skis. So we built them into chairs, and we're selling those, and they're being used at the school today.
So again, I'm Ian, and a local business called Habitat for Humanity. We made sure to tell them about our program, and they came to us to make a parade float. And we thought this was a really good opportunity for the hatchery, because parades are a great thing for the community, but they're also a one-time thing. All the things that are used, because it's a once-a-year event, are usually thrown out. But we decided to build a house-like structure, and in that we learned about studs and framing houses. And that was a really great opportunity to learn about that, but as well make a great float for the parade.
And like Ian said, they're great community builders and teaching opportunities, but they are a one-time thing. And so me and my CTE class at the high school offered to take it apart. And I don't know how long exactly it took to build this, but with a group of our size, it took us only 25 minutes to completely deconstruct and have those materials at the ready for our use.
So then we came upon the cafeteria booths, which were deemed unusable by pretty much everybody. So we decided to take them, and yeah, we couldn't use them at the school because they were really big and clunky, and only one person could sit in them. So what do we do with them? So we decided to take them out and assess like what sort of materials we had and what we could use. And so then, yeah, each group of apprentices kind of individually went off and made their own things. And we specifically focused on how could we use these weird, bizarre shapes to make projects and new things.
Me, Ian, and another student, Quinn, who's not here today, are all mountain bikers. And we looked at these end caps from the booths and saw a bike rack. So we started designing it and went through more than a few prototypes and 3D designs, and ended up completing an awesome bike rack design and showed them off at the CMCA courtyard at an event. And they were pretty well received, I think. And so we started mass producing them. We made probably 10 or 12 of them, and we're selling them today.
So then that provided the question, what do we do with these other weird parts like of the seat? So me and Gavin actually decided to use those to make planter boxes. And we thought, vertical garden, cool, sort of like pairing up with like maybe the horticulture class and like Miss Murphy. And so we decided to make these cool planter booth shelf things that are really cool. And yeah.
And after we had repurposed all the other parts of the booths, we had these frames, and we were into woodworking, and we never really worked with metal, but we turned these frames that would otherwise have been wasted into a wood rack, which will hold our reused and reclaimed materials.
So I'll just sum up saying that obviously there's been a lot of different interrogations of this idea of radical reuse through the program. We've even done some deconstruction work in the community. This was our first deconstruction project as a group outside of the school. We took apart a deck, and we are currently repurposing some of those materials for prom. And then we even have projects designed for after prom is over to take them apart and repurpose them again. But this has been a theme here. We've gotten materials from, this is Atlantic Bakery in Rockland. I am constantly on the lookout for materials. This is even from our middle school dumpster, the renovation. Parents have been reaching out about materials that they have, taking wood scraps from the Habitat site here. In October, the students participated in an event just to kind of like share with the community what we had done. We made some t-shirts, radical reuse t-shirts. And one of the speakers that we had at the event is this woman, Sarah Badiali, who is instrumental in, she's based in Portland, Oregon. She was instrumental in passing the first deconstruction ordinance in the world in Portland. And so what this ordinance does is it mandates that certain buildings of certain size and age need to be deconstructed rather than demolished. So they end up saving upwards of 85% of the materials from going to the landfill. This is, again, a very innovative policy. It was passed in 2016. It's been really successful. And Sarah has continued to pursue getting this policy out into other cities throughout the country. And so one of the reasons we're doing the work that we're doing is to make this more of a practice that is sort of the new convention. Other cities have adopted these policies, Pittsburgh, a few cities in California, Denver. And if it can be done in Portland, Oregon, I don't see why Portland, Maine, or anywhere in Maine couldn't also pursue something like this. So we've been thinking about what a deconstruction ordinance might mean for our community. And hopefully we can continue to do the work and show that this is something that is really forward-looking, and maybe Rotarians could help voice this idea to the wider community for us. So thank you for taking the time to listen to us. That's the end of our presentation. Appreciate it.
So Danny brings up and shows you a large example of what we were able to fabricate in this building. And in particular, the neat thing and how this ties into internships is that all the students that you see, have seen and been on these projects are what we title as apprentice. And these students, if they're returning and they're not seniors, will now lead classes next year. So while these students were learning these skills in the hatchery and learning about the radical reuse concepts and all these amazing other aspects to the hatchery, they were also building skills around how they then could teach this to other students. So it's just, again, another way of us to look at education through the experiential lens, thinking outside the box on how we can expose students to different elements and different ways in which to have a high school experience rather than just attending class and doing what we've done for many, many years now. So I'd like to open it up for any questions that you guys have.
Thank you, Jeremy. I'm going to ask the tech team to moderate online versus in room.
Diane, can you hear me? Diane Lepson. Diane Lepson. Danny, what is the gender breakdown of hatchery participants?
So Danny responded there. It's a little male dominant this year. It's 50-50 for next year, though. As is with any program, you know, your origin point may look a lot different than subsequent iterations. As we do anything here, we're always looking at, you know, how can we improve? How can we involve more people, especially with a DEI lens on things? So I'm glad to report that, yes, we're moving towards that 50-50 blend, which is an ideal mix.
Barry Timms also. What are the major differences between the internship program and students taking summer jobs?
So the difference being in our internship program, and I probably should have included this, there's some oversight. So we do site visits. We'll come halfway through. We'll meet with the student's employer. We'll meet with the student. We'll talk to them about how their experience is going. And then we'll ask them to write a summative impression when the student is finished. And that's how that student guarantees that they get that credit. They need to follow through with those very basic steps through the internship. It's a lot different than a summer job where a student is just showing up, getting paid, isn't really interaction with their high school. In addition, we're giving students credits that will show up on their transcript. So if a student is a part of the hatchery and they're an apprentice in the hatchery, they'll actually land on their transcript, hatchery apprentice, 1 credit, and a pass-fail grade, because we're not going to assign a 0 to 100 grade. Where that's advantageous to a student is in the college process and the application process. We often talk to students about differentiators. What's going to make you stand out? Northeastern, my alma mater, great school. It's a long ways away from where I was many years ago, is now a very desirable school. So much so that they had close to 90,000, and listen to me correctly, 90,000 applicants this year. And for spots of, I believe, around 5,000 spots. So students, more so than ever before, have to differentiate themselves from the pack. And job experiences, internships, those are the things that colleges are looking at, because most often than not, they're tied to a passion. They're tied to something that the student is interested in, or may even be related to a major of choice. So it's a wonderful opportunity for a student to show, hey, I'm passionate about this. It's related to what I want to study on your university campus, and I've had a high degree of success. And there may even be a referral letter that, or recommendation letter that goes along with that to further that narrative. I think it's just a great opportunity for students just to stand out more so than anything else.
Questions in the room? I have a question. Can I ask my question?
Sure.
Jeremy, I know that this is this program is jointly you and our workforce economic team. Do the students who are applying for internships have a variety of options, whether they're pursuing a four-year education afterwards or they're going into the trades? Do you have trades represented in this internship world?
Absolutely. We're trying as best we can to have a wide swath of different experiences for students to obtain this learning. Whether it's, in the sales industry, whether it's in direct point of sale, working for a retailer, whether it's working for, Viking lumber or something of that sort. We've reached out to many different aspects. So we're trying to cover as many. We could always use more. There's always opportunity to have more partners. So if any of you sitting in the room or folks that are listening to this have a business that you think, hey, maybe my industry is underrepresented in the high school, or I feel like maybe students aren't necessarily getting that exposure point to my industry, I'd love to bring you on board and allow students to be able to view you as an option.
Thank you.
Diane Lupson did have one more. She says, how have these programs impacted student retention and their satisfaction?
And I think, Diane, are you referring to retention at a post-secondary institution or retention in terms of high school and dropout?
High school and dropout.
Yeah, so, we've got a couple of different things going on here at Camden Hills Regional High School that I'm really proud of. When I first came on board here, we sent the least amount of students to Midcoast School of Technology. We are now the #1 sender of students to the School of Technology. I value those experiential pieces, those learning trade pieces, because yes, for many students, that's the hook that keeps them in high school. It's the 180 piece, as we call about it. They go to high school, they realize, this really isn't for me. I'd rather just get my hands dirty or learn some skill sets, because I know I'm going to go right into the workforce after I leave high school. And that Midcoast School of Technology experience cements that. And I'm so proud of the work we've done around that. We now are sending close to about 120 students per year to the Midcoast School of Technology. And I don't know if there's a direct relation to our dropout rate. And it's kind of hard to look at statistics right now because of COVID and the impact it's had. But I'm interested to see as we go. And usually I like to look at things from a data analysis from a 3-year cohort perspective to see if we've shifted that dropout piece. And for us, quite frankly, our dropout rate has never been as compared to some of other high schools around us. But it's still a number that we pay attention to. And I feel very positive that both not only the internship piece, having students actualize different aspirations and understanding how high school will help them get there, but also the Midcoast piece will affect our dropout numbers. Great question, Diane.
I think that has been a wonderful program. And if we have more questions, I think we can get those to Jeremy after this meeting or this week. But I want to have a round of applause for everyone that presented today. And thank you very much. Though all of the presenters are welcome to stay in, tune in to our raffle and Sergeant at Arms